Some people will never be conscious manifestors, meaning they won't create any way that their life unfolds. And this is something that you can get out of. So if you haven't had control over what your life has brought to you, I'm going to show you how you can do that by surrendering control. And I know that sounds like a paradox, but there's a way to actually doing this to gain control of what you manifest. The wealth, the cars, the relationships, the places you want to be. There's a way you can tap into an energetic power you have within you, and you have always had it. And it's not something you have to go and work out and get. Think about it this way. What you are is already enough, and you can change the life you get to experience by changing yourself within, by making these things aware in your body. And the funny thing is, awareness is the magical energy you have control of. If you're interested in chakra meditations and you want to energize your chakras, go look up what the meaning of the chakra is, and all you do is put awareness on that in your space. And that awareness re-energizes. Awareness is an energy you can use to change everything. So that's why his is all in his head. His energy is just there in his head because his awareness is stuck in thought. It's an egotistical thing. And his energetic awareness is beyond thought, and that's the main change. So some people will never make this change. Some people won't make this jump to be a conscious manifester in their life. So I take spirituality and I make it practical so that you can apply it to start manifesting your dreams. If that's something that will interest you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, turn your notification bell on so you don't miss an upload where I show you how to break this down and actually apply spiritual concepts in your life. So a non-manifester thinks out of ego. Ego is the identity of self as a human. It's the character that people can refer to when they think of you. And what we do when we live out of ego is we want to generate this character and put him on a pedestal or her on a pedestal, and we want people to appreciate and respect the character. And what that starts to do is create this inauthentic expression of self. You're not being authentic to how you actually feel. Now, feeling is the entrance into spiritual realms. That's where your spiritual body exists. It's within emotions. And a lot of people are emotionally reactive. They're not emotionally creative. You can create or choose or select your emotion. You can actually choose what you feel. And once you gain the power to do that through awareness and by understanding why this doesn't work, that's when you can start to control what you bring into your space. Being part of the ego also means that you're attached to outcomes. You're attached to the way things are going to go. And if you become attached to the way things have to or are going to go, what starts to happen within you is you actually get stuck because the world isn't going to work the way you want it to go, and you're going to constantly be in the stressed state of nothing ever works my way, or worse, it leads you into being the victim. Nothing goes my way and the world's against me, and we get into this self-pity state, which is not empowering. That's an emotion we're allowing to come into our space because it's a reaction to the world. Problem with ego as well is it's an individual identity. It exists as itself. So it's not one with everything. If you're one with everything, then having nice things or good relationships is having a part of yourself. And I'm going to explain how that works in a lot more detail to help you understand how we can change this to become conscious manifestors. And the last important point is the beliefs and definitions that we assign to things. If we believe that the outcome is going to change our lives, if we give this energy of belief into things, what we're saying is that the outcome is dependent on how we see things, how we think things are going to go. And if we define things and add value into things and places and people, we are saying that value exists outside of us. When all the value in the world exists in the very fact that you can perceive it, that's where value exists. The fact that you can see things and assign value and assign meaning is the superpower. See, a manifestor works a little bit differently. The way that he operates is not out of this ego, singular identity that can be a victim who's emotionally reactive. In the spiritual state of self, the value is all within. All the best things are within. They are emotionally selective, so they choose what they're going to feel because that's energy they're giving away. They're also detached from outcome. So time as a whole is a detached concept because it doesn't really exist. And there's no need to have an attachment to time because they are all inclusive. It's like going, oh, well, time matters because my toe might not be attached to me. That's what we're saying if we operate out of ego. But it's already won, so what's the matter? What is the point in worrying about it if you are already whole and complete? And the last thing is they choose and shape and create belief systems. They actually make them. And that is how they create their reality. Essentially, it's consciously creating. The difference between these two dudes is the one knows what he's creating and the one doesn't. But we are always creating our reality through our emotional self. That emotional self is what's generating reality around us, because our belief systems are choosing how we feel, and how we feel is what we are asking for from the universe. Haven't you noticed how when you get out of your house to go to work in the day, and you get in your car, and if you're frustrated because you were late and you spilled coffee on your new tire, that's the day that you get cut off by 3 taxis, that someone runs across and stops you from getting through the traffic lights, and you're stuck behind another red light and you're already late. That only happens when you're frustrated, but that frustration energy is creating the world around you. So is the passionate love energy you experience. And so if we get into that energy of enjoying and choosing what we feel, that is how we change things. Now, I spoke earlier about how you got to devalue things in the world. If that sounds interesting to you, about learning how we can control reality that way, that's essentially what it is, leave this video a like so that I know how many of you are actually intrigued by this concept. So what happens when we start to control things around us by controlling ourselves is we realize that everything around us has got no built-in meaning. It's got no built-in significance either. Like, everything about it just is. They're just atoms around us, and if you were blind, its color wouldn't matter, and in the same breath you got to see it from that angle in all of your senses. It doesn't have meaning or value, just like color wouldn't matter to a blind person. So nothing has got built-in meaning. We assign value through our beliefs. If we believe things will be better with a new mouse and keyboard, then we are putting it on a pedestal and we're adding this value. But in actual fact, nothing has got that built-in meaning. We have to assign it. And if we change that value system from things, people, and places around us into your mind and getting to enjoy things from your mind, that is where we take control back and put value within. So then everything wants to experience the valuable us instead of us being the worthless trying to value things. And the way we do it is by this, realizing this one point changed my life, which is, if you think about this for a second, there are things you've wanted, really wanted, and you've gotten them. But the idea in your head was far better than actually experiencing the toy or the car or the thing that you wanted. It was far better in your head. So true joy is actually experienced within. If you go, okay, I'm going to allow myself, and this is a belief system that you can change to become a conscious manifester. If you go into your head and say, I'm going to allow myself to enjoy the feeling of my imagination's creation more than the world's creation, you're saying the values within. But what it will help do by removing the values, by saying I don't need the external to come in to feel what I want to feel. I'm going to feel it in this moment right now because I can. Because why not? And that is an indication to the universe of what you want. So I'm going to tell you a bit of a story about how my manifestation journey started. I was very much a victim to the world. Everything happens to me. And I'd get into that state all the time. I was a non-conscious manifester for most of my life. Most of us are. And I had gone through a breakup which led into a pandemic, and then there were family things that had gone on. My cousin passed away. It was so much all at once that I didn't want to exist. And so I lost the willpower to go and fight, and ambition to fight for what I wanted. Because it was just like, it was too much effort for not enough of a reward. Nothing was making me feel better. So in that state, eventually I had my awakening. And in that awakening, I realized, oh wow, I'm the one controlling this through this emotion of worthlessness, through this emotion of victim mindset. And because I was believing that I was a victim to the world, I was the last to get picked, I was the last to get recognition, I created a reality that confirmed that for me. And so the shift that I had to have was going, no, the power is within me, and I can enjoy within me what I already am. Just the fact that I can see things, hear things, smell, taste, my senses are a gift in themselves. And it moved me into the state of the observer. So instead of the actable character of the ego, I was observing the story. And that observation makes it so much easier to see what it is, not what I wish it would be. And I started to enjoy the joy within. Now, I think this world consists of 3 things. It's people, places, and things, right? So money, cars, whatever you want to relate to with those things. But I think that's what exists in this world and nothing more really. I found this category made sense in my head to say people, places, things. And I thought about, well, what is the person I want? Who do I want? And I thought about it, and it was someone I'm deeply in love with. And my ex, who I was deeply in love with and had not fallen out of love with, came back into my life within 2 weeks of me just choosing to feel the in love that my imagination created. Within 2 weeks, and we hadn't spoken for a year and a half, she messaged me and said, can we go for a milkshake? And she wanted to get back together. So that was the person. The next is the place. I was like, I want to be in Los Angeles pursuing my music. And so I felt what I thought it would feel like to be in LA pursuing my music. With 2 years after the pandemic, I was in LA. I was performing at a conference, doing red carpets. The place became a reality for me. And things, I really wanted a 6-cylinder BMW. I'm big into cars, and it was my first dream car, a hatchback 6-cylinder. Within 2 months of feeling what it felt like to drive that car, I got the car. So the who, the what, and the where became so accessible for me because it was the joy within that I chose to say, this is how I am, this is what I am. I am enjoying this feeling. The universe says, okay, and shows that to me on this natural level as a reflection. Because it's not a reflection to your prayers of, please may I have. Well, it is technically, that's a non-conscious manifester. Please may I finally have what I want. You're saying to the universe, emotionally, I don't have what I want. So it says, okay, the best way to show you that is by giving you that mirror reflection of your true self. And the reason some people will never become conscious manifestors is they can't even take accountability. Now I'm going to show you this awesome model. I did it in a recent video, but I'm just going to throw it in here as well so that you can see it. Is the AAA of change. And basically in this video where I go into depth, I'll put it above here so you guys can watch it if you want. Basically what I did in this video where I spoke about the AAA of change was explaining why good people suffer and bad people get rewarded. I was speaking about difficulty levels of life. Basically in that video what I discussed was how the higher your difficulty is in life, the better the reward, and how that actually works, that putting in effort changes your natural reality. So if you want to watch that, click it over here and you can look at it in detail. But if you don't want to see it in detail and you just want a brief run through, the AAA of change is this. We have awareness, acceptance, and action. A lot of people, when you make them aware of the things they're doing wrong, just by being around them, they should be able to detect in you things within themselves because you can't identify what you are not familiar with. So they can become aware of the things that they dislike. And accepting that it is a reflection of themselves is step 2. They accept that that is a reflection of their internal state of self. And then third one, which is the hardest one, action. They must take action to change it. How do we get to that part? Take action within you right now to imagine what it feels like to have the life you want. Imagine the feeling associated with the people, the things, and the places you want, ultimately above all. And ask that version of yourself in this imaginative exercise, how do they feel? And the answer will be a feeling, and it won't be something you have to think about. You will be able to feel it as an answer. That is the coding, the blueprint, the instruction for you to manifest the life you want. So you onboard it right now and you go, wow, this is how it feels. And then you live as if that's your reality. And what that starts to do is give you the opportunities to go and have that life. Now, the biggest block you've got to get over that will interrupt your process of becoming a conscious manifester is by allowing fear to make decisions for you. If you become scared of an outcome, fear is the enemy. That is what is ruining the chance of abundance for you. Don't be scared. Never let fear choose for you. Just allow yourself to see, experience, and have the emotions of what you want, and allow that to be whatever it does on the outside in this world. Naturally, it will be a reflection of that internal state of self. Guys, if you have any questions or you want me to explain something very specific to you, leave them in the comment section. I respond to every single comment. And obviously, if you want to see that response, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and you won't miss another upload like this, where I make spirituality practical so that you can apply it to manifesting your dreams. Thanks so much for watching. Mad love and light.